Hey everyone, this is part 5. In this tutorial, we're going to be doing, or this part of the tutorial, we're going to be doing wood. More specifically, this green and blue and orange reddish grip here. So wood is pretty tricky to do, but going to be a lot of trial and error, a lot of back and forth. But I think we'll see what happens. And then so I should explain this. So initially, if you remember earlier, I explained that I did the stripes like this with a black and white texture. I realized that this is 3 colors, so doing a black and white mask isn't really going to work for that, because I need 3 colors as opposed to 2. So essentially what I did was I did this entire workflow, but instead of using black and white stripes, I used red, green, and blue stripes. And this is a tiling texture that I just made in Photoshop in 2 seconds. And then I did this exact same workflow, baked the albedo onto it, onto the high poly, from the high poly onto the low poly, and then I imported that bake. So now this is what we have going on. So let me explain how I'm masking. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I've done it. So if we drop an anchor point, so we have this base RGB import here. So drop an anchor point here. No black mask or anything. Make sure it's on the properties of the fill layer. And then I'm gonna go up here, make a new fill layer. Give it a like a reddish orange. Actually have a value already picked out. We're gonna make this one the green actually. So green, just name it that. Add a black mask, add a fill, and then here we're gonna grab our anchor point that we defined down here. Then here we're gonna do the referenced channel. We're gonna reference this anchor point's diffuse channel. And then alpha behavior, that's fine. And now we're trying to grab the green values, so I'm going to grab green right here. And now we can go ahead and mess with the mask here. So we're using the colors of this property in the black mask of this. So I should be able to mess with these sliders a little bit so that I can get the green values. So there we go. Looks like we're getting them here. And there we go. So now I have the green masked out, just like that, and now I can do all sorts of stuff with it. And then we're essentially going to actually duplicate sort of this to all the different colors. However, it gets a little bit tricky when we're trying to grab, go ahead and duplicate this, when we're trying to grab different colors. If you want to use my exact colors, feel free to do this, because I'm going for this wood that we found in the reference, but I mean, if you want, you could do this. I mean, it's totally up to you. So go for whatever you feel like, really. Excuse me. So I'm going to grab the fill layer, set it from green to blue. And then let's go ahead and look for where the blue values are. So the blue value is this big chunk in this stripe right here. So that's what I'm trying to get out of this mask. There we go. So it looks like I grabbed it here, but I'm going to duplicate this fill layer upwards and go ahead and grab the green mask and then subtract. There we go. Now I have the blue value masked, and I can see that very clearly. Perfect. Don't worry about the jagged edges. We're going to deal with that with some other fill layers as well. And then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to grab red. And let's change this color so we can see it. There we go. So if you want to color pick, these are the values right here that you want to color pick. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the red. So for the red, we are looking for this big chunk right here. We're looking to grab that. So we can leave the subtraction layer. That's no problem. This is, let's start renaming this. Forgot to rename these blue. Let's rename this to blue mask. Okay. and then let's grab the fill layer, grab the red values. And now let's mess with this so we can grab the red values. Oh, there we go. Something about right there looks like we're grabbing the red. So we're already subtracting out the blue. We can duplicate that and subtract out the green. Right? The blue. There we go. And there we go. It's as simple as that. So, I'm not sure if there's a simpler way to do this, but that's kind of the way. I did a bit of experimenting off stream just to make sure that I wasn't like fumbling around here, you know. But yeah, this was kind of a really simple way to do it. Making your base RGB value super bright also helps as well. So we can just simply grab the values on top of that. So call this red. We'll just call it red to simplify things, even though it's not technically red, but you know, whatever. Okay, so we have all of our colors masked. Now we can start working a bit on the wood. So let's go ahead and add this black, super cool, like black border. So motorcycle just went by, sorry about that. Add a fill, and let's start grabbing our fill layers. Instead of this, I can actually just probably duplicate these. Yeah. Except set them to linear dodge. Okay. Grab the red and then grab the. Just duplicate another fill. Grab the green. I think we're missing the green. We're missing the blue. Sorry. There we go. So now we have this. So my idea is to kind of blur the fills and use the levels to grab the borders in between them. So we're gonna try it out. And I have an idea how we're gonna do it. So grab this, take a blur. Okay, let's try that. Sweet. So when we add a blur and a linear dodge add, we get this kind of line that's going on around it. So I think we can duplicate this with all of that. Check that out. We get a perfect, well, not perfect yet, but like this effect, this border effect. So I'm going to then invert this. So invert mask. Then I'm going to grab a levels so that we can punch it out a bit more. So we can really grab it and do stuff with it. Just like that, maybe. But I want to keep it thin as well. The reference is really thin, so I'm going to go too thick with it. Like that. But maybe we try something like that. I kind of like this because it gives it like a more subtle effect in some areas, but you just do more. Okay, and now we can still kind of mess with it a bit and try to get it even thinner by doing that same technique again. And add another levels maybe. No, that's not gonna work. All right, let's stick with this for now, but let's make it so that it's a bit more. If I can adjust this base. Everything. Bit strange how that one, how that one stripe is like super thin in comparison to all the others. Wonder why that is. Yeah, it's a bit of finagling to get them right, but kind of mess with the blurs a little bit, get things to read a bit sharper. There we go. Cool. I think we can roll with that for now. Yeah, I think we can roll with that. Let's go ahead and anchor that so we can reference that later. And then one quick change I want to make. So I'm not really liking this like shape here that the stripes fill made. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint green over it. Should be able to, right? Looks like I need to paint. Yeah, so it looks like I need to paint the green. I had the paint above the mask, which was why it wasn't working. So if we just add a paint in the black mask on the green, I can actually just go ahead and just kind of smooth this out a bit. You press D to use the distance tool. Kind of do something like this. There we go. Let's smooth out this side. Oops. Oh boy. Yeah, I like that better. Let's do the same on this side. There's a masking error. But this time we need to paint out the blue. That's what's on the background here. Cool. Roll with that for now. Okay, so we have our black border. I'm gonna add a so we can start working on like the blur effect going on here before we start. And then I think after that we'll start working on a bit of the wood. So let's add a fill and let's grab our black border. Let's go ahead and add a filter, set it to blur. Gonna uncheck some of those layers. Levels. Punch it out a bit more so it's a bit more noticeable. Let's go ahead and export this and see what it looks like. Okay. So I think after we do the wood, we're gonna mess with some of the color values later. But right now, we're just kind of getting a rough estimate of what it's gonna look like. Let's fix this weird mask going on up here. Let's just simplify it and add blue. Then let's kind of finagle it so we just don't get any of this weird stuff. Let's do the same on this side as well. Let's grab red. Looks like we have a couple of mask errors. I don't know why this happens, but I think this is a bug with Painter. So we need to just do this. I really wish this bug wouldn't happen. Paint all this out. Okay. Paint this out. Just a weird bug, I don't know why. Super annoying too. Let's go ahead and grab red and paint out red. Actually, we're gonna paint on. I always get confused sometimes with it. Once we start masking, I always get a little bit confused. So we actually paint on the green. Yeah, paint green in. Then just kind of like curve it off, like so it's like that. That'll do just fine. and bug. Nice. Usually it only does this when you have... Actually, I think it might have something to do with the camera projection, like paint mode, whether you're on like tangent wrap or you know, some of those other ones, but whatever. All right, so now we have a nice border going on. Let's we can start working on a bit of the wood material. So I have a reference that I downloaded from textures.com. It is called, I'll leave a link to it, but it's called Fine Wenge Hardwood. Let's go ahead and add that to the scene here. Triplanar it and drag it here. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us a nice wood overlay. So like, I mean, right here it already looks like pretty decent. So what we kind of have to do is just set the diffuse to overlay. There we go. And we can already see what it's doing to our diffuse. So maybe turn it down a bit. It also comes with a normal map. I can't provide these, so you'll have to find out how to acquire them on your own, whether you want to make an account with textures.com, which I do highly recommend. Textures.com is sick. I'm going to turn down the normal. This just isn't really like what we're looking for, like these long streaks. We're not really like looking for that. We're going to do a lot of stuff with the normal later. We have a nice little diffuse there. Wood diffuse, whichever we call it. There we go. So we're going to be messing with some pass-through layers. Pass-through layers are super helpful for when you're done texturing and then you want to do like, client says like, oh, the diffuse values are all of them are too bright, so we'll just add a paint layer, not a filler, a paint layer. Add a filter to it, like a HSL, hue, saturation, lightness, and then set the diffuse to pass through, or set whatever channel you want to pass through. Make sure you change it here. Now here we can change the saturation, the lightness, stuff like that. Let's see how this looks already. I doubt it. It's not going to look very good, but we're getting there. We are getting there. Let's move this into the wood. Call this pass through. It's important to keep track of these because sometimes you'll try to make changes and then these pass throughs will like start messing with you. So it's important to keep track of those a lot. Let's work on the black border a bit. So we have this mask here. Go ahead and anchor point that as well. Add a black mask and a fill, and then grab that anchor point, that blur mask. And let's try to get some of these fibers that stick out. So I have the perfect fill for that, and that's using Substance Painter's anisotropic noise. Anisotropic. Actually, I found directional noise kind of works, but actually, we'll just do. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just use anisotropic noise for this, and we'll triplanar it as well. There we go. Scale it down. And let's set it to multiply. Already we got some fibers going. Let's change the balance to something like that. There we go. We get a little bit of the fibers going on. Actually, let's so sometimes what I like to do really quickly is to test if something's too subtle. Just duplicate the layer and it makes it stronger. And I see that I kind of like this effect. It's going to look nice with all the other effects that we're going to have. So let's call this border fibers And let's add a levels to it to make it stronger. Yeah, something like that. One thing I forgot to do is let's take our black border and add a really slight, maybe a blur slope to it. We can see how that looks. Change the intensity divider, warp it up a little bit, then maybe add a warp on top of that. Getting kind of experimental, so. I'm a strong believer that no two woods should be made the same. So this is a completely like new like wood workflow that I'm following. That I'm just kind of going through with you guys. So I've seen a lot of people using photo scanning. First, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to get in some of this directional noise. Actually, one thing to mention. So if you look really closely, we don't really see any of these directional fibers in the height at all, it doesn't look like. It kind of just looks like we have, well, there's a little bit. So we're going to add a little bit actually. So what I was saying is I've seen some people get pictures of like a wooden like AK stock, and then they'll take a picture of that and then use that to overlay diffuse and stuff, which I think is super cool. Let's grab our anisotropic noise. Go ahead and triplanar it again. The key is triplanar. Oh, grab the whole thing there. Painter's gizmo thing is really awful, by the way. Just felt like I needed to share that. The X amount a little bit, and then change the balance. Let me drag this over here. And change the balance a little bit. Okay. One thing I want to do is it's kind of going over the border, so I'm gonna actually duplicate this, and then I'm gonna grab my anchor point for the black border blur. Oh, so I need to set this to UV. Yeah, did that? Okay, yeah. So I had the mask set to triplanar, which isn't gonna work. So, and then subtract it out. Nice. Let's go ahead and set the diffuse on these. So one thing to notice is that it's not, these aren't black, like stripes here, or fibers. They're just darker color fibers. So these are just dark blue values, dark red values like we can see here. So I'm going to set the diffuse, so with that being said, like I'm going to set the diffuse to overlay. And that looks like it did nothing. There we go. Yeah, so now if we look, these kind of turn into dark green values as opposed to just the solid black that we had. Overlaid a bit more. Like, let's just see how this looks. All right, we're getting there towards the wood area. Let's go ahead and work in some of these lighter values. So for that, I'm actually just going to duplicate this layer and just sort of move the noise a little bit, to balance a bit, maybe make them a bit longer. It looks like these lighter values are a bit longer. And let's set them to white. Ooh, that looks nice. I like that. Cool. Maybe set the diffuse to normal. No, I'm not quite liking that, actually. Like, we'll stick with this, but I feel like the blue is a bit strange. Maybe we'll grab the blue. Yeah, I'm not sure why the blue is looking weird there. Let's grab the blue, set it to subtract, and then change the slider up here so we can kind of tweak some of the values. Then let's grab the other fibers. Let's call this light fibers. And this dark. And let's just grab a little bit of the height, bump it down. Let's also change a bit of the gloss as well. We haven't done anything in the gloss yet. Why is this not being affected? Okay, so it looks like my wood diffuse overlay was also set to gloss. So we're just going to turn off everything but the normal. And there we go. So now we get some gloss information. Take the gloss and just drag them down, and then use these sliders to kind of adjust. Also grab the height and lower it to a normal human amount. Is that a slight filter? Maybe a slight warp filter? Yeah, that looks really great. The lines were just too straight, so we're going to grab another warp filter, put it on top here. Cool. See how that looks. We're getting there. We're getting there. I love doing wood because it just comes out awesome. And it feels so rewarding to do good wood. Good wood. One thing I want to make sure is I have these values checked properly. Cool. Gloss, yes. Okay, yeah. One thing I also forgot to make sure for wood, linear default specular pretty much all the time. I don't see a case where you should ever be really doing like a specular value of like this. Like it just doesn't. This is like weird and just no. I don't. You can argue with me. I strongly disagree with you. But no. So we just leave it at default. Grab these fibers, drag them down in the gloss. Grab the black border, drag it down in the gloss as well. I don't think we're going to do any separation of colors in gloss values. I don't think we're going to be doing that. We're going to drag down the black border though. I think that'll look cool. Let's go ahead and work on some of this. No, actually, let's go ahead and work on the diffuse value. So let's go ahead and get the wood looking like it should in Marmoset. So we're going to mess with the pass-through layer. Okay, so we're looking pretty saturated. I think what we need to do is turn up the lightness. So the reason that these look different is because I'm not texturing in aces. However, I'm rendering in aces. So to mitigate this problem, you'd probably want to texture in aces for something like this, but I'm just not really a fan of doing that. Kind of personal preference on my end. Yep. Crank the saturation just a tiny bit more. Saturation. Oh, also a cool thing you can do is you can take the hue and just change it to like all sorts of funky colors if you wanted to. This looks pretty cool. Yeah, it looks pretty sweet. That's pretty fun to do. Just crank the hue slider. Might even do that for some renders, who knows. Lower the lightness just a tad. Let's work with that for now. It's not perfect. We're going to work on it a bit some more. But for now, let's start working on the noise. So looking at the highlight, we can really see the bumpiness of all of this. So to get that going, we're going to add a black mask with a fill. I'm going to drag in 3D Perlin noise. Lower the scale quite a bit. So this kind of gives us like a 2-for-1 type of thing. So it gives us some nice diffuse grain there, which we're going to tone down significantly. But making sure it's somewhat in there so we can sort of see it. And then we're going to get the gloss from it. We're going to get some gloss values from it. Something like that. And then I'm going to take it down in the height. Okay, so I think we're going to do the height on a different layer. However, this looks kind of cool to just like have it be subtle like this. Actually, that looks pretty cool. I like that actually. Didn't actually mean to do this. I kind of meant to get this normal bumping in, but I kind of like this effect actually. It's not terrible. This will actually look decent, I think, if we if we render that. I think it'll actually look kind of cool. Okay, it's starting to read a bit like a plastic, so we need to lower this just a bit more and work in maybe Perlin. Work in maybe a Quixel material. We can try computer plastic. Oh, I need to make a new layer, actually. Set it to the normal. Set it to triplanar. I don't think that's gonna work, actually. Yeah, I think we're getting too plasticky with it. Yeah, it's just kind of reading like a colored plastic. Actually, it's not really hurting, but it's not really helping at the same time. Let's figure something else out. I have an idea. Let's grab a fill layer, like something like grunge fingerprints, grunge leaks. Let's try something like this. Grunge leak dirty. Scale it up quite a bit, and then put it down in the height, maybe. It gives us some variation for sure. Okay, we could try that for now. Maybe we take the height on the fibers and bump it up a bit. There we go. That's looking so much nicer. I can already kind of tell. Yeah, that's looking much nicer. However, now it's a bit too strong. See what I mean when I said a lot of back and forth? Wait. Let's go ahead and adjust some diffuse values down here. So I'm gonna crank up the value of the red just a tiny bit. Something like that I like. Then let's go ahead and mess with the blue. So the blue's kind of reading like actually like dark blue, which we don't really want. I don't want it around here. Maybe a bit more like on the purple side. Oh, something like that I think looks nice. You know, a bit less saturation. Maybe a bit even less. I think we need to take the blue out and go more this way to something like that. Yeah, I think that's a bit more like it. One thing I'm noticing is the red is like, bro, why is that red? Oh, you know what it is? It's from this wood diffuse overlay. I'm gonna take a filter in HSL. Actually, yeah, I did actually forget to do that. So I want to take the saturation out of it. So there we go. So now we lose those red values that we didn't really want. Yeah, so you can see like red values coming in through the green, which we can add later, but I just want to do it on a separate layer where I'm not like constricted to that diffuse fill layer. Oh, it's still looking quite a bit fake, but we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. How's the green? Like the green is also too like is not the correct value, so more of like a army yellowish green. I'm gonna probably go ahead and pause the video and come back to you with the values that I'm happy with. Okay, so I have some values that I have picked out. It looks pretty washed out in Painter, but in Marmoset we're using aces, so that's the only thing I really changed. I changed the saturation on our pass-through layer, and then these are the red values, or the color values that I chose, and this is what it looks like so far. So we're going to do obviously a lot more with the color, but this is just kind of the values that I'm choosing for now. So let's go ahead and, I guess we can start working on those colors actually. So let's look at each color individually. So it looks like they get dark around the borders and then lighter in the middle. That's pretty easy to add actually, so we can go ahead and work on that. We can do that right here. So maybe it's a good idea to do it above the pass-through layer actually. Yeah, maybe not. Let's go ahead and take a lighter diffuse value. Let's remove all the gloss and stuff from it. Add a black mask, add a fill. Start with our red. So to grab the inside, like sort of blurry, I don't know what you call it, the insides of this, we're gonna grab it, blur, add filter, take a blur, rank it, duplicate the anchor point, put it on top, set it to multiply. There we go. So now we can kind of see that we're kind of blurring the inside of the mask there. We can do more, or if it's not being strong enough, what we can do is we can just take a levels. So there we go. We're sort of grabbing like an inside border here. Kind of actually mimicking how it works up here with like this white going on up there. So we can go ahead and just take the diffuse. Let's grab one of these red-orange values here. Set it to overlay. Let's crank the orangeness on it. I think it wants to. Something like that. See how that looks. That might look cool. Yeah, it is kind of doing that in some areas. I think that looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll duplicate it to grab the green instead. Then set it to green, green here as well. Look at that. Oh yeah, that looks cool. I like that effect. That looks really awesome. Let's call this inside red. The reason I'm doing this on separating the colors in case I want to do like a special hue shift, but I think we'll be just fine actually. Kind of going with a bit yellow. So if we do this, but set them all to blue, we might actually run into some issues because, because we're setting it to yellow right here. So I'm gonna bring this more towards like a light blue, like a desaturated like a white, but not quite a white. Let's soften the levels, increase the blur maybe. We can see what it's doing there. Increase the overlay. Shifting it towards a light blue might not be ideal. Hmm. I think our best bet might be white, actually. Make it lighter. Autosave. Thank you, autosave. Set it to screen so we can get it to go even brighter. Like that, maybe. I don't think that'll work. Go a bit towards the blues. Something like that might actually work. Although with this one, you can really see the how it's like made in lines. So maybe we try to incorporate that too. Let's see if we can incorporate that with another fill there. Grab our anisotropic noise, set it to multiply. Increase the contrast. Change the balance. Lower a bit of the fill. That looks just like super fake. So yeah, something like that I think should work. Okay, I mean it's not terrible. It's a little fake in some areas actually, so I'm actually gonna manually paint it out. Um, just have a tiny bit of it. Actually, it looked kind of good right. It actually looked good right here from the render. Let's go ahead and multiply these as well. Yeah, awesome. That looks really good. Increase the contrast so we can really see them. And let's add the multiply here as well. See how that looks. We're getting there. We are getting there. Sure. Sweet. Looks like we still just need more colors. We need some splotches of darker values. So we can go ahead and add those. Trying to think of the best way we can maybe do that. It almost feels like they're a bit random. Like it kind of goes out this way. Like there's a splotch right here that's kind of darker. So I think what I'm actually going to do is duplicate this inside red thing. Remove all that. I guess just delete everything. I guess I just wanted to be lazy and take the mask. Maybe add a fill layer to it and grab like a... what fill layer should we try this one? Make it darker. Set it to multiply. Give it a really dark orange value. And then maybe multiply it with some more noise. A little experimental. We set the diffuse to overlay, so let's crank it up. Oh, it is almost sort of what we're looking for, actually. One thing I did actually kind of forget to see was these light fibers that I added on the red. It kind of makes this like really saturated red effect, which I don't think it's a problem actually. It might actually be a problem. Let's go ahead and lower the overlay on that. Okay, yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was kind of making like super ultra saturated red, which is just not good. So let's go ahead and mess with this a little bit more. Let's scale up the noise. It looks really bad. Something like that. And then wonder if it's a good idea to just crank it and then lower the opacity. In fact, maybe this is something we do over the pass-through layer, actually. Yeah, I think we do it over the pass-through layer. Yeah, I think we've kind of established our base value, so now we're just kind of going ham on it. Let's go ahead and duplicate it, but make it the green. I kind of like the red values in it. It looks kind of cool. But let's try the yellow that's in the reference. Yellow. Nice. Gives us that nice yellow, yellowish brownish effect that we're looking for. Yeah, I like that. Actually, yellow actually works pretty nice. Go ahead and work on the blue. The blue is proving to be a bit difficult. Not too sure why. Let's make this white, honestly. Make it white. Or maybe a dark purple. Kind of give it more like a blue denim jean. You know what I mean? That rhymed. I didn't mean for it to rhyme, but just that cool. Thought I was missing the slider, but I'm not moving the slider. Yeah, I missed the slider. Yeah, I'm just not seeing any purple in the reference, so maybe we just go blue. We just go dark blue, call it a day. Sweet. One thing I'm noticing is that the black border should be a lot stronger. It looks like with our HSL pass through, it looks like our border got a little messed up. I wonder what would happen if I take it above the pass through layer. Not bad. Yeah, you know, actually, that's not too bad. Well, some of them look really kind of, yeah. Yeah, I think I want to add a warp to these because I don't want them to be like perfect. Does that make sense? Some of them still look kind of weird. Maybe take this multiply layer on top of it. Yeah, that looks much better. It looks like the fibers there. It's not just jagged like that. It's also kind of like messy. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this layer. Remove the noise actually, and something like that. But actually, just kind of this. Actually, where? I'm gonna thin the lines a bit, and then add a multiply. Oops, I messed with the wrong layer there. So do something like that. I think that would look a lot better. No, because now it just kind of reads. Now it kind of reads as like a fuzz going on. So maybe we just tone it down a lot. You know what the problem is actually? So it's really strong in the gloss actually. Okay. I think now we can actually turn it up. Okay. Yeah, the gloss was just really strong on those. Same with the fibers. The gloss is really strong on these. Yeah, too strong. Way too strong. We can start messing with some of these gloss values as well. Get us a nice, really rough highlight like we're seeing in the reference here. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe not all of them. Just gonna do that a little bit. Bit more gloss there too. Yeah, now we're starting to get look like some wood. Like it. So I'm thinking part of the problem is the border looks too perfect still, and it's reading really stylized. I gotta check something. I think we need to go kind of hard on a warp. Yeah, I think we needed to go a lot higher. There we go. It adds a nice breakup so it's not perfectly just lines. That's quite nice. One thing I am going to do is I think I'm going to do an overall fill layer and just grab the blurred, not filter, fill. I'm still not really getting the blurriness that it really is darker on all the woods on the outside, and I'm really just not getting that effect. Maybe go ahead and just try it like this. Blur. Diffuse, set it to overlay. Let's take out all the other layers. I don't want them messing with anything else. And then let's actually subtract. It might be a good idea to actually grab each of these colors. Oh, I can't grab multiple, but set them to multiply so that we're not affecting the border. Because if we go too dark on the border, then it's gonna be pitch black, which isn't gonna be ideal. So that was red. This might even just be useless what I'm doing right now, but I think set them all to multiply. Nope, that did not work. Oh, we're multiplying on multiply. I think actually the easier way to do this is to grab a fill, take the border, and then subtract that. I'm not sure why I went the other way. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. So now we're grabbing this diffuse. Okay, cool. Is that already? It actually kind of already gives us the effect that we're looking for. Let's actually export that, see how that looks. Yeah, I think we're quite on target in terms of diffuse. Cool. Let's so this looks pretty shiny. The finish on it looks pretty shiny, so let's go ahead and try to get that going. Maybe take this pass-through layer in the gloss. No, we can't do that. So let's grab, oh, actually we need to set it to pass-through, that's why. There we go. We can actually increase the gloss on it, and we already get sort of a nice finish to it. Actually, this is a bad idea because we're affecting both the diffuse and the gloss, so actually I'm going to actually undo that, set it to pass-through gloss. And over here, we're going to uncheck everything but the gloss, set the glossiness channel to pass-through. Now we're just affecting the gloss channel and nothing else, so and increase the gloss on that. Giving it a nice shiny finish, but not clean per se. Might even tone down some of the roughness change, the gloss change. Some of this gloss looks a little fake, so yeah, some of this looks pretty bad. We're gonna keep it decently clean. I think where a lot of the gloss variation is gonna go is into the. Well, I don't think we're gonna do a whole lot of gloss variation actually. Maybe more in like a noise channel. So we have some noise. That is not a Perlin noise. This is a Perlin noise. I think this is kind of what I'm picking up from the reference. So it is super shiny. However, if we go super shiny, it's going to be a bit hard to render with the rest of the gun. So I think something like that is actually not bad. It makes it feel premium, you know, like fancy. Actually had a light turned off there. Not sure why that was off. Sweet. I think we should go ahead and adjust the. It's all looking pretty good, but I'm still not too happy with the base color values. Now that we've done pretty much everything, we can. It's about all that I want. Go ahead and start messing with the blue again. Need it to read a bit darker. The red looks great. I like the red. Let's get the green to read a bit darker as well. So I think one thing that's kind of stopping us from looking like super realistic, there's a little bit of this, kind of hard to tell, but looks like there's a bit of noise, like a colored noise going on. I think our diffuse is still looking a bit fake, so let's try. So we have this layer, this inside darkening. If we take this layer again, I don't think duplicating it works. So what I was looking for was to grab a fill layer, drag in some Perlin noise, 3D Perlin noise, scale that layer up, set it to multiple. Watch out the contrast. Take a levels to it so we can really see it. I'm not quite seeing it actually. I want to make it like super. Odd, I should be able to see it pretty decently. There we go. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing is some of these lines up here look really bad. Yeah, those are bad. Let's go ahead and find those. Pause the recording because I forgot where this layer was. Yeah, these are too not tiled enough. Actually, if we do that and increase the X amount a bit, let's grab this manual paint and just paint them away from the top because that's just looks unnatural. There's a UV seam there that's not looking great. Yeah, okay, so that looks decent. One thing I think we need is like more noise, just like a general noise in these colors. So for this, it looks almost directional, but not totally directional. So I'm still going to use Anis. Actually, we can try maybe. There's this directional noise 1 that Painter comes with. We can try this. What did I do? I'm gonna export. I'm gonna see how that looks. Dirty. Looks more dirty than anything. Also, maybe because the gloss is on it, but uh, this is fine. Honestly, this fill is actually not terrible. So this. Maybe anchor it to each color. Grab the blue layer, set it to multiply. Now we can do instead of that, we go like dark blue. I'm not quite liking that. Maybe let's switch it from that to Berlin noise. Or maybe we just do like a black and white spots too. Try that. The linear dodge of Berlin noise. We set that scale to 1 and then scale down here to 500. Put it to a linear dodge. Okay, so what we did isn't bad. I think part of the problem is because these lines, they're so long. I think that might be part of it. How do I fix this? Did I increase the X amount on them? Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay. Yeah. So we have some like random little noises in there now. See how she looks. Looking more like a wood, that's for sure. One thing now I'm noticing is the border is just a bit too dark. Um, Tone down the noise layer, the noise border that we did. We have a really nice normals. I really like the normal variation that we, or just the wood grain mixed with a little bit of the the gloss variation. Let's take this layer that we just did. Let's call it random noises. Go ahead and duplicate it and multiply it with the red. Yeah, it looks not bad. Not bad. We could no. Actually, the diffuse is set to blue, so maybe that's... Honestly, I don't think, or it was so subtle that I don't think the diffuse was actually getting picked up as blue, so interesting, but nonetheless, we'll change it and we'll set this one to green. This one is picking up the subtle red diffuses though, so we will want to change this one to dark yellow. Shift the blue slightly towards purple, see what happens. Still just not quite getting that indigo blue color. There we go. Crank it up a tiny bit. Tiny bit. Till we get something like that, I think. I can live with that, honestly. Just a bit brighter. I can live with that. I think that's good. The green's looking cool. The red, I really like the red. The red is like the standout color in all this. Like when I look at this, my eye is really drawn to the red, so good. How does it look overall? Sweet. That's how it looks overall. Really sweet. All right, let's go ahead and just really quickly do these bolts. It's gonna take like a brass, but I'm not gonna take the silver from or the brass value from there. It's gonna go ahead and take. Let's grab the trigger. Honestly, nothing fantastic needs to happen here. We'll grab that and get it down to the grip. And looks like I forgot to get water before I recorded. Nonetheless, kind of weird. Oops. I believe these are symmetried. They are because I'm an artist. Went ahead and just color picked the reference there. And check that out. Saturate it more. Let's make it look almost like a more of a gold, but like not gold, obviously. Maybe it is gold, I don't know. Make them pretty matte. That's kind of what I'm, well, pretty glossy actually. Maybe we do increase the gloss a bit more than the wood. I think this will make it feel more flashy. Because if you're, doing a custom grip like this, you must have some money. The gun itself already costs like $5,000, so good enough for me there. Let's go to the body. Maybe we can duplicate these materials. I clicked the wrong filler. Load. There we go. Grab the screw metal. Go back to, oops, material mode. Go back to the grip. Let's call this like brass. I don't know what that material. Not sure what that is. Probably brass. It's got to be brass, right? I think those are symmetry, actually. I was on the wrong fill layer there. Grab one of these brush layers and assign it here and here. Go ahead and rotate it. Delete these two fill layers that are not doing anything for us. And I think that's just about it for these. I'm just going to add like oils to it, just so we can kind of get some sort of roughness variation on it. For that, I'm just going to use like, I don't know, black and white spots 1. You don't really need much. Just to go above the brushing. As simple as that. See how she looks. You're saying she. Looks like we need to punch the border even more. Yeah. Look at the reference. You can see the border from all the way back here. I believe I lost that. I don't know where that went. Screw metal. We got. Let's color the wood purple. Cool. I like purple. Let's make a new layer. It's super easy. Add black mask. Fill for the black border. There we go. Drag the anchor point below the warp. Border boost. Let's call it border boost. How about that? There we go. Oh. I just dragged down the filler opacity just a tiny bit. There we go. That looks pretty sweet if you ask me. Let's add some of these really bright areas on the orange. They actually kind of exist all around. It might actually be a good idea. Let's get experimental. A white black mask painted and see what it looks like. Okay. Let's grab this directional noise 1 to balance a bit so we get about something like right that. Increase the contrast maybe. Let's manually paint in something like that, but levels to it. Take out some of the gray values. We're left with just that. And lower the diffuse significantly. It's not blended in at all. Let's try it out. Let's try it. does that look like? Please look cool. Please look cool. Please look cool. It looks cool. Yeah, that looks. Ooh, that looks sweet. Yeah, we actually just. Yeah, we actually did that pretty good. Um, the one thing I'm gonna try. Okay, let's try this. I'm gonna triplanar this fill layer that I added. It was using directional noise that we kind of already just used. However, I'm kind of seeing like some breakup a bit more, so I'm gonna try to incorporate some of that actually. Add a paint on top of that. Paint out some of these longer streaks. Add some on, looks like there's some chipping or something on the edge, so I'm gonna add some to the edge as well. Add a paint down here so we can edit it. Like that might look cool. Not sure if the location has anything to do with it, but maybe we can add some on these stripes as well. What happens if we add it to the green? Actually, no, it's the wrong color. Which might actually work if we desaturate this, lower the opacity. I think that will actually let us work on all these layers. Like if I wanted some on the green, we could get a little bit on the green as well. Work. Let's do that, but let's paint above the levels actually. Carefully sort of mask out. It's interesting. It looks good on the green, but not on the. It's interesting. Very interesting. Tone this down. Tone this down. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth on this. I just know it. That's not bad. I kind of like that. Green's fine, except it looks really stenciled right here. Okay. Let's paint in some more. Do it right here. I don't know if I want any on the blue. If we do, we're gonna paint. What did I do? We're gonna paint above the levels. Above the levels. I remember watching a lot of other weapon art tutorials, like I'm forgetting all the names, but um, I would watch them and they'd be using like super advanced masking and stuff, and like all these darken and brighten and layers like that. So I never really caught on to that. Like, kind of just like stick to like overlay, pass through, some of the basics. I never really got used to some of those layers. I also don't have when I started 3D, I had zero experience in Photoshop, so that actually didn't help either. Cool. Uh, but some of those I have no idea what they do. I'm not gonna lie. Paint a little bit on this side. A lot of the times I just like fumble around with them and see what happens. Get a more stencily area there. Something like that. Got some of that good stuff. It's the good stuff, yep. Oh, yep, right there. add some of this almost damage stuff down here. Not really damage, but you know. I think doing the border gloss added this really cool striping effect going on. It's actually a pretty good idea now that I'm looking back at it. Pretty cool. What is going on up here? Something crisscrossing and not correct. Okay, so I found these border fibers are not looking too good up here, so I'm really just gonna paint them out. It's not a big deal. Well, I think that looks pretty sweet. Not sure if I want to add that orange scratch there. I don't think that's good. Let's see what happens if I increase this contrast inside green. What happens if I really make that? Let's do it on all the colors, actually. Maybe not. We try it on the red. I think if we, I do like to put a lot of contrast on woods just because I think it looks sweet. That looks cool. It looks cool. It almost looks like the grainy or the brushy stuff disappears when you get closer to these areas. If we can work that in somehow. Actually, I think it's because of the noise. We are already kind of killing that. Fine. I undid the red. That was just a little too much, I think. And export. Let's do a once over on it and see what I like and don't like. So I think one little problem we have is it looks really cool when you zoom in and really see all the details, but when you zoom out, we lose like a lot of the grain details, the vertical stuff. I'll try to add some of that back in. Maybe some more like big read stuff, I guess is what I'm going for. So maybe try this inside red layer. Where's the anisotropic? Here it is. That's gonna help actually. Yeah, I think it's a bit of this dark fibers. Yeah, let's go ahead and increase the scale on those. And maybe increase the dark overlay on it. Oh, man. Quite different. See how that looks? Okay. That's a bit too big. Let's go 1. What did it look like before, actually? Like, We were at 1 before. Let's go 0.85. Increase it slightly. I think this is the layer that's going to do it for us. Make things read a bit larger on it, and then actually... Yeah, I think this is going to do it. Yeah, I like that. The red's very readable. Maybe we boost... Well... So the red, we can very obviously see it. Don't think we need anything from there. Unfortunately, this is the only picture I found of this other grip. Or maybe I just didn't look hard enough, but... I'm gonna make a few minor adjustments now. I think that's gonna do it. Yeah, that's so much better. I had the blue, I think I turned the blue saturation just up too much and it was kind of just not reading properly. Oh, so that's one thing. There's a lot of this variation here. I'm just now seeing this. Okay. I like this. All right, cool. So we can see how the black goes like, ooh, like around here. All right. Like my sound effects too. So let's go ahead and think if that's a good idea to stencil. We have this border boost layer. This might just be a good one to manually paint in, actually. I don't really see an issue with that. Take a little bit longer, but paint in a shape like that. This goes on both sides as well. So if you want to do like a bit on the green, you can do like here as well. What I mean is this layer is affecting all of them, not just the red. I think it's a bit too strong. There's also one more effect that I saw. The outsides here get a bit lighter around the bolts. We'll add that. Try to remember to add that in a second once I'm kind of done painting. Annual. Unevenness is going to be the key here. So I believe this black stuff is like a glue that held it all together. So it's okay if it like leaks. So what we're trying to achieve now is like the leaking through the woods. Yeah, this looks real quick. Definitely seeing it. And it is looking rather decent. So we'll keep going with it. Probably feel free to skip this part. It's just kind of painting, so this not my stroke opacity. Feel free to fast forward here. I wouldn't mind. I'm not gonna be insulted. Actually, yes, I am. Yeah, painting stuff like that. Lower the opacity on that. Wait. Say sweet a lot. We're gonna have to do a little pass on the other side as well. Speaking of. Well, kind of approaching the end of the tutorial here, actually. That's exciting. I hope you guys were able to follow along a little bit. I know it's not really this is my first tutorial recording, so when I do live stream, live streams are pretty similar to this, but so I'm still learning as well what works and what doesn't. It is always a bit stressful, hitting record and then like having to like, okay, I don't know how to do this, like, so hitting record and then like not knowing what I'm doing. So that's the that's how this wood was made. Don't know what I'm doing. Very typical of me. But yeah, we just so I think overall my materials I really try to focus on normals first, then gloss variation, then diffuse breakup, and that I think can be followed with just about anything. However, with the wood it was a bit different because we were because the wood we need to get the diffuse like perfect. If you don't get perfect diffuse on wood, it's gonna look really fake. So I'm super excited to render this. I actually added a test render here that I made from uh, the bullets episode. That was pretty awesome. I was really hyped about this render. I like whoever runs the Marmoset Twitter account too. They're pretty cool. They like all my whenever I tag them, they like it. So that's kind of nice of them. You don't have to. But. I had a nice big streak right here, actually. Nice big streak. See how that looks. Let me go back to the reference here. So you don't stare at my render all day. Okay. I like it. I think it adds a nice contrast to it. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and lighten up these bolts, the area around the bolts, I should say. Bright areas? Can I just... You can actually recycle this layer. These bright areas layer that I got, let's add a paint. Set it to linear dodge add so we know that we're actually doing it. I think it could be super subtle like that. I think we'll be sweet. I like it. Um, I'm kind of seeing some like specks here. Maybe we can just add like take this bright areas, add a black mask, add a fill to it. Maybe we can grab like a David Grury or Grunge for like specs. Although I accidentally imported them into the alphas, so I have to like that's scratches. Scratch. Maybe I do. No, I definitely don't want scratch. Grab a different one. Not bad. Yeah, that looks. Yeah, it's not terrible. Definitely not terrible. I think we've achieved a pretty cool looking result. Honestly, I don't have. I'm kind of just doing like my visual pass on it, and I'm gonna kind of see what I like, but I'm not really seeing much. What would happen if I do this? Yo, that's kind of. Yo, if you guys are doing this tutorial, do a different color wood. I want to see what colors you guys come up with, what colorways you guys come up with. That'd be so sick. Um, I kind of just stuck with the orange, blue, green here, just to kind of show how I like to approach wood. I'm seeing a little fiber right here, actually. Seeing a little fiber right there. Let's okay, add that real quick. Uh, fibers. No, scratch. Yeah, I think we can take one of David Gruyer's grunges. It's a little scratch grunge here. I need a black mask of this. Rescale that. I think we could take this layer and pump it out in the height. Maybe take a levels to it. What am I actually doing? That's really good. Okay, I quite like that. Although I think the scratches are just too big. I think that looks kind of cool. Export that, see if we can see it in the render. Sure can. It adds a nice varying highlight. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. Each channel that we do I think has a nice breakup. Doing wood's nice because you don't have to do anything to the specular. Um, yeah, I really can't think of anything else to add. Sure why I chose to. That must be a mistake right there. I'm not sure why I did that. So I apologize for that. There's a few mistakes around the model, but well, it's not a modeling tutorial. It's a texturing tutorial. Um, sweet. I think that looks great. I am. Yeah. Just kind of doing a little bit of a polish pass going on around. Um, any last areas that I see that we can add? I'm really liking this like darkness, but I don't. Hmm. Wonder if I can just add kind of a subtle shift like that, maybe. Yeah, maybe do something like this could look cool. On the corners here, just kind of darken them. Make sure it doesn't look too brushy. Not like it's stenciled in. See. Oh, I'm on the wrong side. I wanted to edit this side a little bit. Not really liking that. Sweet. Love it. I love that. A little strong right there. Put it down. Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for the grip. I have totally run out of ideas to add. Um, guess maybe we could add a bit of use oil to it. Literally just taking like a oil layer, a high gloss layer, and just adding a black mask, adding a fill, giving it like a dry grunge fingerprint dirty. Just giving it one of these. Maybe even make it dirt. That might even look. Even just duplicate it. Change the balance and the contrast a little bit, rotate it, and make it a gloss. A high gloss. Might make it look a bit too dirty, but I think all right. I think I'm gonna call it there. Next up will be just a quick, well, hopefully a quick little polishing video, and then where I just go around. I'm gonna add the primer strike in there, and then other than that, I think we're just about done. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.